Hey guys, it's Captain Mac here. We are on the Lighting Trade School podcast. This is episode 2, and I'm here with Glow Daddy Shane Duffy from Glow Geeks. Shane, how's it going today?
Fantastic.
Awesome. And obviously,
it's a good damn day. It feels good.
Right. And our mentor, the godfather of landscape lighting, Nate Mullen, the Illuminator. Nate, how are you doing this morning?
Doing good, man.
Awesome.
Lucky I'm about 100 miles away from all those fires in California, so we're doing great.
Oh, great. Got a badass backdrop there. See, we'll have to go over that in one of the podcasts. What is actually behind you? Because it looks pretty damn impressive.
So, I guess it's my little wall of fame.
Yeah, there you go. 7 deadly sins. We are going to talk about another topic. It's going to be design. Now, of course, we all know design is. I mean, we could probably do 100 different episodes or more on design, 7 deadly sins that'll kill any outdoor lighting job. Today, we're going to specifically talk about placement of the lights and kind of, what that means, what it looks like, and really dive in on why placement matters so much. So I know one of the things that we talk about a ton when it comes to placement is, you're in the Facebook groups, you're talking to guys, they've got, 10 different beam spreads they're using on jobs. They got all these different wattages they're using on job. And I'm just thinking, like, that must be an inventory nightmare, let alone the design phase. Like, if you go back to do a maintenance, how the hell are you going to know what everyone has? So, Nate, when it comes to beam spreads and wattages and all that, how many, do you recommend? Like, how many do you need in your arsenal for 99% of the jobs out there?
So before I answer that real quick, I'm going to just give you just a backstory for 1 minute. So I was an electrical contractor forever. We did tons of jewelry stores, clothing stores, a lot of national chains, and we use beam spreads, MR16s, all kinds of wattages, every beam spread you can imagine, from 8 degrees to 180 degrees or whatever. And that's what we did because we had to have pinpoint locations in all these stores. So I took that mentality and that knowledge, if you will, into my landscape lighting world when I started full-time in 1990. Then inventory nightmare, maintenance nightmare, things grow, hotspots occur every damn day because of the diversity and what happens organically on a landscape, job between maintenance and dogs. And, we all know what happens. So then it was like, oh my God, this is the stupidest thing ever. Their beam spreads and wattages really don't have an application when it comes to landscape lighting. So then I chose one light bulb, and in 1990 it was a par 36 GE par 36 watt bulb. Okay. And that was the smartest thing I've ever done in my lighting career because that taught me placement, right? Placement, one beam spread to do every single thing. So now I have pretty much in my arsenal, 99.9% of the time, I use a 4 watt 36 degree for ground up, if you will, and a 4 watt 60 degree, air down. And I believe that placements is, like you said, we're going to talk about 100 different things when it comes to design, but arguably, possibly placement is the number one critical thing when it comes to a design.
For the record, that was just shy of 2 minutes, not 1 minute.
Well, a lot of times my dissertations go for 10, so I feel pretty proud about that.
Yeah. So Shane, are you the same? Obviously we have, Nate is our mentor, like, right. Are you, do you do the same? You're basically, I know I am too, right? Most of my bulbs are 4 watt 36 or 60 degrees.
Since everything comes from the top down, we're both tutelaged by Nate, but I would just concur before I call my designs pre-Nate, right? We did some 2700K. We did some 3000K. I did some 6 watts. We mixed pars in there, somewhere 15 degrees. I would just try to get fancy because I guess I saw people on Facebook doing that. And it does make it a nightmare going back to those jobs 5 years later. It's like, what did we do? What goes where? What temperature was this? Was this 12 volt? Was it 24 volt? Was it 2700? Was it 3000? Was this a 60? It's a nightmare. Even if you're really good at recording stuff, like you said, Matt, well, it's an inventory nightmare. You're really going to carry a whole different line of 27 and 3000 and 4 or 5 different beam spreads for every different wattage? Like, no, you'll have thousands and thousands in inventory just sitting on the shelves doing nothing. So it's a pain in the butt. And then you got to go back to jobs multiple times. So when we're going and doing maintenance calls, we have everything on our trailer we can fix right then and there. There's no, oh, I got to go and order this 27K 15-degree bulb. So with the exception in Texas, we do have some massive oaks. And on occasion, I like to use a par 36 rather than a 4-watt MR16. On occasion, and I'm kind of phasing myself out of that. I've kind of talked myself out of par 36s because the glare, you just can't really block like you can with an MR16. So I've kind of phased that out, but there are still just some big majestic oaks that just a large bulb seems to do better on.
Yeah, sure. Oh, Nate, you want to chat on that?
So that's funny. I probably have been involved in 1 million well lights as far as installation, design, and teaching people how to do it. I mean, forever, everybody called me the well light king. So 1 million is a real number. And one of the biggest problems, Shane, is glare from the ground, right? And trying to minimize that glare. There are tricks to that. That could be another episode. How do you, I know we've talked about glare, but we haven't talked about how to minimize and how to do some tricks on that. But a par 36 is nothing compares to the par 36 of old till today, and that'll be another episode. But yeah, glare is a problem with the par 36.
It's funny what talked me out of that, because we did a lot of par 30, and I've started to do less ever since we did my house. We've got maybe 100 lights on my house. It's a work in progress. We're gonna have a few hundred at some point. We've got a big yard, but I put some par 36s in all of my front yard oak trees, maybe a dozen or so. And I can see just every time I'm in the shower upstairs looking out at my landscape lights, I can see where every single fixture is. And it drives me nuts. And I never would have known that, because I never would go to a customer's upstairs bathroom and look out the window at night. So you don't really know until you know.
Never secretly snuck into a client's bathroom, huh?
I thought that was common practice. I have to go back to the protocol.
They got weird stories like that, anyways.
Yeah. So I mean, I know like a lot of times I'll see on Facebook or guys texting me, right? Like they have window, and they have little strips of whether it's brick or siding or whatever. And the generalized school of thought is always, oh, put a 10-degree beam on there so you're not glaring in the windows and all that. So I think that'd be a great, what do you guys do when you have that, right? You have these little maybe 2-foot sections of house between windows, when the common thing is let's get a 15-degree beam spread in there. You guys still use 36 degrees?
Yeah, so I'm going to make a
second
couple comments on that, because I think it's incredibly important. So when you look at beam spreads, 60 degree, 36, 18 degree, those are probably the 3 top common ones, right? So when you look at the difference between an 18 degree and a 36 degree, so it's only 18 degrees off. So if you were going to go back to, which now everybody rates everything in lumens, which is 100% bullshit, how you rate things in lumens, and that's another topic. But the real way to rate things is center beam candle power. That's how you can calculate how many foot candles you can get on a surface area, say a flag 40 feet in the air. So when you look at, say, a center beam candle power on a 36, and say if 36 degree to an 18 degree, 36 degree could be 900 center beam candle power, and an 18 degree could be 18,000, 20 times more power at the end of that thing, 20 times more. So when you're trying to use a smaller beam, 12, 18, 20, right? The amount of energy and light coming out of that beam spread is exponential. Right. So the reason I would never do that is because a lot of times you're not lighting up a 22-story building. Okay, that's when you need that. You're lighting up a first story, maybe up to a second story, and it becomes so intensified and so hot that it really distorts your whole lighting portrait. So it's very, very, very difficult to use beam spreads on a home. Right. So
What you, Shane? Yeah, no, it's good.
Well, I mean, that was way better than my answer was going to be.
Yeah, but when you do that, let's say you use a 36 degree. How does it? Do your clients complain? Is it like glaring through their windows at night and stuff?
Well, if your question is what would I do if it was too hot? Well, I would just put a frosted lens on it. I wouldn't switch it for the purpose of maintenance. So just having frosted lenses or push the bulb down in the socket a little more kind of naturally creates a thinner beam spread with the same bulb rather than outward. If you don't have a fixture where you can move the lamp up and down within the casing, well, then you need to look into some lifetime lighting fixtures that do have. So I would move it down in a frosted lens. That would solve, I think, 95% of those problems.
So the other really trick is when say you're lighting up a second story and it's a darker stucco. All right. So that is absorbing all the light, and you're using a 4-watt 36 degree. And you're not real happy with the amount of light that's hitting, 25 feet up in the air. All right. Which can be true because stucco is going to spread the light out more. Darker color is going to absorb it. So you might be thinking, man, I want to go to a 6 or an 8-watt, which now it's going to be super hot on the bottom, but it theoretically would get you more light on top. So what I do is I always have in those darker stucco homes, we always go top bottom. So we'll light it up, same placement on the bottom, right on a horizontal line going up, vertical line going up. Then we'll match it with another light going down. That's a good little trick. Now when you talk about placement, you have to go through a thought process of what that fixture is going to be doing. What's its intended purpose? What's the sense and purpose that it's going to do? Because a lot of times it doesn't matter if I'm uplighting or downlighting, I'm placing a fixture. A lot of times there's an intended consequence or an unintended consequence about, hey, I want to light up this plant right here, and I'm lighting it up. But what is the beam doing up here? Now it might be hitting something that I don't want to light up. It could be rain gutter, it could be a home's light fixture, it could be something. So you always got to be the light bulb, if you will. And where is that light in its entirety going to be? What's it lighting up?
Nice.
So,
yeah, makes sense. All right, let's jump into some like photo examples. That way people can really start understanding. I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen.
Well, back to the topic of placement. I think we got off on wattages and beam spreads there. Which I guess kind of fits, but
yeah, I think the wattages and beam spreads plays into placement because when you're talking to a guy or you go down to this local supply house, they're constantly saying, instead of talking about placement, they just change the beam spread. They just change the wattage. So instead of learning what you're doing wrong, you're just constantly changing out a lamp, and you could save yourself hours and hours and lots of trips by learning placement. And that's where I think beam spreads and wattages comes into so much into play into placement.
Well, and let's just this is placement, but it's critical. 2700. The reason everybody went to 2700, and this is factually true, is LEDs could not. The manufacturers for the LED light bulbs could not come out with anything close to 3000 for years and years and years. So when they started shoving LEDs down our throat, right, the only thing they had was something close to between 25, 26, 2700. That was it. So every distributor had 2700. Not one distributor in the US could you get a 3000 Kelvin lamp from. So that was why the distributors were shoving it down people's throat. And now people just kind of accept 2700 because they don't even know what a 3000 Kelvin is. Okay. So and this is the problem. I have another episode of why I kind of hate distribution. Because they don't do what's in the best interest for you. They do what's in the best interest for them. And by God, if they've got collectively across the United States, if they've got 1,000,000 2700s on the shelf, they're not going to tell you not to use them. They want to sell them and they don't care. So that's another tangent.
All right. That's another tangent for another episode. We'll do that.
Right.
What are you going to say, Shane?
I started with 2700 myself. Matt, I don't know if you did. And the reason why I did was because all my Christmas lights were 2700. It was just kind of what I knew because I did Christmas before landscape.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to share a screen.
Do it.
Shane, I think you're going to have to take over what actually shows. We'll see what happens here. You guys can let me know. All right. We're going to go with just the first one I pull up here. Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
All right. So Shane and Nate, they sent me some photos. I got some photos here all about placement. I'm going to look at this one. And just so if you guys can't see it, There's a path light right here and a path light right here next to the stairs. Um, would love to understand the reason for that. I mean, I know what they're going for, right? They're trying to light up these stairs so people don't trip and fall. Um, Shane, is this one of your jobs?
No, but I did take the picture. I took this like, I don't know, a year ago, and I've always kept it just just because I saw it. And I think the lady was asking us to light up her deck better. Man, like, talk about the worst placement ever. I mean, what a knucklehead to put those there. I hope anyone in the audience realizes like that is the most piss poor way to light up those stairs. But that's probably all they knew. I mean, not only will a lawnmower and weed eater always, wreck this. Maybe the guy did it. Obviously, it doesn't look like a great home. Maybe there's some budgetary concerns. But I mean, a downlight at the top of the rail, backlighting these railings would have been 10 times better and would have still produced more light on these stairs than these guys.
Yeah.
It just amazes me when you drive around the United States, every city, every block, you just find shit like this. This is not uncommon. So
Right.
just no excuses.
All right, let's go on to this one here. I don't know. I think Shane sent this to me. Now, when I pull this up, it doesn't screen like this would be a job that I'm sure this client is absolutely in love with, right? Like I see some great techniques happening. Obviously, there's definitely some things that jump out at me that I would personally change. But Nate, when you see this, when we're focusing on placement, only talking about the placement, like what jumps out at you? Like what would you change immediately when you look at this photo?
Well, it all starts with, I guess, design strategy to where, light has the ability to direct your vision. So my vision is directly going to the hot spots on the pavers because I'm looking into the light bulb. So I see some minimal effect under the hedges, but it's minimal. So I think their intended purpose was, hey, let's have an airport runway because that's what I'm looking at. I want to just land my fucking drone going down that thing.
Yeah, but
So
let's
I
talk about
would
placement.
Yeah, I was just by placement. I would never do that. That's terrible placement. There's no visual objective to that. Again, that was probably whoever did that is probably super happy, and the homeowner doesn't know what they don't know. So I would never do that placement.
So what would you like? What would you place? Like, would you use the same fixtures and place them? Like, if I dropped you right here and said these are the only fixtures you have to work with, um,
Well,
could
I
you
don't.
use the same fixtures to make it look better?
Well, I guess I wouldn't do the job. That's what I would do. No, I'm serious. It's like if a lot of guys do, a lot of guys that are going to be watching this podcast are like landscapers. And if we were going over a sprinkler podcast and half the yard was dead, and you ask, well, you have to use these sprinklers. The sprinkler guy would go, I can't use those sprinklers because it's impossible to do a adequate job and put enough coverage on the grass. There's no way to adequately use this type of a fixture to illuminate the hedges probably effectively, the left of the pavers probably effectively. Light fixtures need to be picked for the application that they're going to be, going to provide. So I don't know. I can't even see
Yeah.
what
Okay.
type.
Well, maybe Shane can because we're trying to, I get that we would hate this job and everything, but if you wouldn't do it. But let's say Shane, say you were dropped here, you had to do the job, gun to your head. What would you change immediately just looking at the photo for terms of placement?
Well, I mean, if I had to use these fixtures, well, I almost feel like Nate, well, this is a wrong fixture placement, but not counting these fixtures, like I see a lot of this is front lighting over here. We're not really lighting up the house. We're just front lighting the landscape and therefore getting the house. They've got a super badass windmill right here that's not even lit. Like, why would you not even like this yard art? Like, obviously they really like it. They put it there, like a light in the middle, kind of shining up, would reflect light down here and kind of give something cool to light up. The runway there's no lights at the end of the runway. So why are my eyes going down this way if there's nothing lit back here? It's kind of some of my thoughts.
Yeah.
But
I
I would definitely put lights on the house. There's no lights on the house. There's lights on the landscape that are shining on the house. So that would be bad placement. As far as back to here, well, I don't know. Nate would probably give a much better answer, but I'd look for something more that I can hide in the shrubs. It's on a stem that's going to actually get light on the pathway, not an inch off the ground that's going to light up 8 inches of the pathway.
Yeah. So on this one, basically placement sucks, fixture light sucks. So
Maybe, hey Matt, maybe I misunderstood your question to me. If I thought I had to use those fixtures, not not recommend, right, how to fix it with the addition of new fixtures and new placements. I probably misunderstood your question.
yeah, it's all good. So I mean, hey, I think the bottom line is this one is like placement matters, but clearly if you have the wrong fixtures, sometimes placement can't fix it.
I will add that contractor is probably a good contractor. Like compared to the last one, well, this guy's night and day better. There was a better way.
Yeah, we don't know everything in between what the client wants, what was there. It doesn't matter. We're just looking at it, critiquing of what we would do different. Here's another one. I look at this one and I see that this house and the trees are just super bright. I see some things on the right hand side here, right? Like, oh, we got some silhouetting going on. It's catchy to my eyes, but then you see the rest. So Shane, you want to start off on this one? Same thing, like, can you utilize the fixtures here just differently placed to totally change this portrait?
God, there's so much going on here, and this particular contractor was probably really proud. I'm sure the homeowners are really proud. It's a beautiful house.
Yeah.
But I think this could have, looked way better. This is not a level 10 job. This is, half that. So I guess kind of from left to right, like, I don't know why these enhancer lights are here. They're not really lighting anything up on the ground. I don't see a pathway. I don't see small plants. And the house itself is a light color. It would kick off enough light to where you'd have incident lighting on the ground anyways. So I think those are probably not necessary. Again, they're not lighting up the house. I mean, maybe they are, but it looks like they're just front lighting. Like, I don't see any grazing or shadows. These caps on the end, they look cool when you light them up correctly. They get shadows, and this is just all blasted. And Nate's book talks about having a level 1, 2, and 3 being the brightest. And you always want where your eyes to go to be the brightest. Well, everything almost is a 3. Like, it's almost irritating on the eyes. I mean, these are just so front lit. I would have liked to have seen less front lit, more silhouetting, more focus on the house and getting texturing and shadowing properly. I would like to see these pillars right here side lit or so there's a shadow in the middle and not just front lit like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I got a couple. This is absolutely when a homeowner says and looks down the neighborhood and we come in and want to do a lighting job, and the homeowner will absolutely says, I don't want Disneyland. I don't want Las Vegas. I don't want bright. This is why. This is the problem where the number one mistake a contractor makes, and everybody can just drive down any street and see this. They front light everything. Everything is exactly the same level of light. There's no difference in tone. There's no negative and positive spaces. Everything is washed out. It's 100% visually connected. Might as well just put a massive 120 volt fixture up there and just blast the whole goddamn thing and save the homeowner a tremendous amount of money, right?
It's the FBI raid is what I call it.
Yeah,
FBI raid look.
Aesthetic.
Definitely.
The problem is this is what people do. They don't understand placement. They don't understand what's my visual objective. Do I want to lead people to the front door? Do I want to have definition, find the perimeter, provide depth, negative, positive spaces, contrast, right? Highlight the intriguing elements of the home, right? Like the columns, like you mentioned, Shane. So this is bright, overlit, and the problem 100% is why people don't want a lot of lights. Because if there was 15 lights in this job or whatever, by God, they only want 8.
Right. Well, it's crazy to me, even on this one specifically, is you look to that far right, and did they just run out of fixtures? Front lit everything, and they get over here. Now, if you guys are watching this can picture, imagine if you're just lighting the house is the focal point. All of these things start to become silhouetted and backlit, and it would totally dramatically change.
Yep. So my type of style, as you guys know, our type of style is, let's pretend that there's 15 lights, or just pretend that as a number, right? Well, I might need 35 lights. So if 15 lights is overly bright, they're going to think 35 lights is for sure JFK Airport. And the problem is when it takes a lot of lights, double, triple the amount of lights to make it a subtle lighting job. So my style of lighting is subtle, even though it takes me a lot of fixtures to do it, right? It's subtle, subtle, subtle.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. I'm gonna pull up. Well, let me go with this one. So this one here, if you guys can see, this was a job that a landscaping company did. The client was super happy. They wanted more lighting done. They're super proud of it, right? So this is when I talk about placement. Like, so they video chatted me. They sent me this picture. Now all they had them do was add. There's actually a garage here in this photo. You can't tell. All I had them do was add 2 fixtures. I'm going to show you the after. So it's all exactly the same fixtures, just placed differently. And look at how we go from the FBI raid to actual shadowing. And this melted the client, right? They're like, oh my God. And so we can kind of go over this, right? Like, see how we brought everything in towards the house. Yes, they need more fixtures, of course, but this is what I'm talking about, just placement, because all we did was added the garage and the rest is all the same. So Shane, Nate, you have anything to say about this example?
Yeah, so I think when we talk about placement, the one thing that we probably should have started out with probably on this segment is what determines placement. So if you understand what lighting does, which it reacts, absorbs, and transmits. So what we want to do is you look at that surface area that you're lighting up, and it's a darker color and it's brick, and you would like to reveal the texture. So in order to do that, placement is critical. You have to place it closer to the wall, and you have to graze the brick. So understanding how light reacts with a surface can give you a super big clue about where to place the fixtures. So yes, moving them from a front forward washing position like that, absolutely terrible, very typical in the United States. Moving them closer, more uplighting, right, revealing the texture. So
yeah.
Yep. Trees also there. I noticed you backlit them versus frontlit them, so the house is more relevant than the trees there.
Yeah. Powerful. All right, I'll do another example here. This is a homeowner, and we talk about placements. This is Walmart solar lights. So he sent me this, said, he was all proud of it. What would you do differently? Now, again, this is a little bit more difficult to work with, but he's got literally a runway of looks like 12-inch path lights. Got all the lights just powered at everything. Same solar lights, had him change them just a little bit. And you can see even, let me do the before and after on one screen here. But again, this is placement with Walmart solar lights.
Well, here's what I get out of that photo. Even with better placement, it looks like shit. You just can't.
Yeah, but not everyone can afford the contractor. So the whole point in this is how important placement is, right? Like, yes, obviously we would do this wholeheartedly different. But just one of those things that makes me go, damn, like this is how important placement is.
Well, I think I just like looking at this, knowing not even the smartest guys in the world, you two, can even use solar lights and get a good looking lighting job. I think
that's a nice house too. Like it could look so much better. It's still a win.
Yeah, when people call me out and when they want my advice and my help, I just rip the shit out. I mean,
this was just I didn't step foot on this property.
Yeah. So,
let's go moving along here. This is one Nate Dogg sent in. It's a mushroom garden, obviously. Is that correct, Nate?
Yeah, it's a mushroom garden. You have to pay $10 to stroll through the mushrooms. This is in front of, I believe, I took this photo this year, and this was in front of the Paris, I think, casino on the Strip. And it's the most pathetic. And they literally did 2 things here. They actually probably paid a lighting designer to design this. Then they had to hire somebody to put this in. So what's the intended? I don't even know. I can't even explain what their thought process was. I don't understand any of it. I think that somehow somebody needed to get rid of a whole bunch of goddamn path lights and dumped it on them in their design, right?
Yeah, well, it looks like they're trying to light up the vegetation, the flowers underneath, but
I mean, can you imagine this in front of a $1 billion casino with beautiful, beautiful landscaping, and all I see is the most ugliest lighting design I've ever seen in my life, and it looks bad at night.
I can see how these spotlights too. I can only imagine at night. This is another one of your jobs, right, Shane?
Just the maintenance nightmare. I'm sure, like the lawn guys, like who the hell put fixtures in the middle of the grass everywhere? Look at all these stems are all cockamamie. I mean,
yeah. Even over here, look at the placement of like these two are what, maybe 6 feet apart. Then we jump 23 feet and put another one, and yeah, my God. All right. So
yeah, I mean, I would like, this could go for this could be the #1 worst lighting job in the world right here. We should actually start a website, start actually having the website and actually start having a gallery of the worst lighting jobs in the world.
So if we were to fix it, right? I don't even think placement, could even fix this. Nate always says in placement, inches matter. I don't
is
think
that what he says?
I think he might be referring to something else. I don't think there's any saving this as far as better placement. I mean, this just needs to be completely redone.
Right.
And
Placement into the garbage.
Yeah.
Right. Why aren't any of these trees lit? I don't really. Well, I guess
they are. Right, they're uplit.
Okay,
I
I
think
guess
the obvious answer is, I mean, you got these trees, right? You could do some moonlighting, obtain literally the what they're trying to do, right? They're trying to light the flowers, and then you don't have a bunch of mushrooms every single place you look. But I agree, Nate. They should charge an entry fee to walk around the mushroom garden.
So how do you fix this? You put lights in the trees and you downlight all of the color, right? That's probably what they were trying to do, and then you uplight the trees. Right. And I have a rule when we're talking about placement. If you're going to have 3 downlights, you have 3 uplights. There's a 1-to-1 ratio, right? If you have uplights, especially when you're downlighting, moonlighting, right? You got to have a 1-to-1 ratio, lighting the canopy up to downlighting down, right? But yeah, I mean, they could have then backlit all the trunks. They would have lit the hedge up, so it would have defined the perimeter, give it some depth, like that big Canary Island day palm that I can see back there in the trunk, right? Light up the color, and you wouldn't have seen one fixture. And it would have been absolutely stunningly beautiful. It could have gone from the worst lighting job in the world to arguably, hey, it's got one of the best lighting compositions that you could ever find because there's a lot of elements there. And it's a shame. Next time in Vegas, I'm going to go talk to the matter of fact, I'm going to make this. Next time I'm in Vegas, I'm going to go see if I can't fix this for him.
Nice. This is one of Nate's jobs from '95.
I needed to get rid of all those step lights, and I did a damn good job. Let me tell you. They wanted me to put in more, and I said, no. 3 on every landing is enough. Every right.
Someone talked to me about what happens at night. Like, okay, this picture actually looks better than what I know what this would look like in real life and in person. What happens with this placement, this design at night when I'm trying to walk? I see there's caution tape, which might be let us know what's happening. But what happens when I try to walk up these stairs at night?
Well, if you're drinking,
episode 1,
right? If you're drinking, which this is a bar up on top, they don't let you walk down here because they've had too many people fucking break their legs. So you cannot be drinking even to walk on these steps.
I believe it.
It's just, oh my God.
I'm guessing it looks like Jesus Christ himself may be showing up at this bar if you're looking up these stairs.
I mean, what are you thinking? Right?
I don't know.
Please, whoever did this job, whoever designed this job, please get a hold of us. What the hell were you thinking? I don't even understand your thought process. There is no thought process. You can't even defend this.
Glare galore, and they probably charged a lot. You could have, you could have done way better with a third of the fixtures properly placed.
You have this wall here to use and everything too,
right,
to minimize glare.
Right, that's the trick. That's how you fix it. That way, you can't fix it now, but yes, light it up from the sidewalls. Right.
All right, moving.
Yeah.
Look at this. Nate sent this one. So Shane, why do you think Nate sent this one in as an example of a bad fixture placement?
Right. Well, I mean, it's on the edge of the mulch line, so it's going to get cockamamie at some point. But more so, well, it's just hot spotting this bush. What else is the purpose of it? It should be mounted on the tree right here or 6-7 feet up, so there is zero glare rather than just on the ground. I mean, I guess they're trying to light up the canopy, would be my guess. But all you're doing is hot spotting a tree, a bush.
Yeah.
Well, put it on the tree or put it on risers and mount it into the hedge, right?
Yeah.
You know, but typical.
Typical.
I
Here we
just
go.
look at this as laziness, stupidity, and laziness.
Yeah, and
Right,
not
yeah.
knowing, right? You go to
Right.
this fly house, you want to light that tree up, slap a light in the ground, right? There we go. Done. Collect check. Here's another one. Now, I'm seeing on this one, this is probably some sort of, is this a spotlight, Nate, or is this a, what is
Well,
this? that you're
it's so typical when I don't know who does stuff like this, but when you start looking around, it could be coming from maybe electricians, 120 volt stuff, or they'll always have a J box for
Yep.
120 volt lighting, and the J box is always crowed away. This is very typical, right?
Oh,
It's
okay.
a shame that they're made, their intended purpose is made to go outside, and that's what they look like. They just rot away. Cancer gets to them. Right. It's pathetic. So you got to, hey, what's going to happen 10 years down the road with the calcium and the fertilizations and landscapers and all kinds of stuff. Yep. This is what happens. Whether it be
Yeah,
high
clearly this is in the grass, right? So I'm sure landscapers love that.
Yeah. I always tell a customer, it has to be maintenanceable. You put a fixture in the grass, it will get kicked over by a deer, a kid, a walker, a lawnmower. Every time.
I'm convinced
that'll go undeterred for 20 years.
I'm convinced that the landscaper, when they're on those properties, looks around and says, fuck this homeowner, and then does that to them. This is what you get, you stupid.
They must owe them money, right?
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, I mean, those are the photo examples that we brought to the table today. I think they really scream how much, placement matters. Hopefully you guys got something out of this. Feel free to send in yours. Ask, we also have the Illuminati Lounge where we can actually do hot spotting and stuff like that. Just check out the website, lightingtradeschool.com. But in terms of the podcast, if those were your photos, we love you. We'd love to train you. Give us a call.
Matt, if you did not get your free copy of the 7 Deadly Sins that you could use not only for training but to show your clients, go to the lightingtradeschool.com, but lightingtradeschool.com. Get your free 7 Deadly Sins PDF.
So I'm going to finish my comment with the one thing that I'm going to tell you. One of my favorite tools is the flashlight. I always have them, and you can look at placement. You can see how hot my hand is. That's front placement, which we saw very good examples of it today. And by manipulating my placement, I can introduce shadows and textures and manipulate the amount of light on my hand. So when you're out there doing a design, don't be afraid to move those lights around. See if you got the best position. So anyway, thanks for paying attention. Yep, go to landscapelightingtradeschool.com, and hopefully you guys will be joining all of our future podcasts.
Yeah, actually go to lightingtradeschool.com because that's our website. And all right, guys, well, have a great week. We'll talk to you later.
Later.